What's going on, YouTube? Lord of Houston coming at you with a video. 713, the bio scene, we in the building. Alright, so Houston Texans free agency is right around the corner. And of course, before I talk about it, there have been some moves that Houston made prior to the start of free agency. Had a little over $8 million cap space. Though Darrell Ogunbowale was signed to a 2-year deal, while Nico Collins' contract was restructured by $9.8 million, which did create cap space. Though I do expect some more about 2, 3, or even 4 more restructures to be made to certain contracts. From Laramie Tunsil, Titus Howard, to create just enough cap space to add wide receivers that Houston needs. And yeah, Houston does need another receiver through the draft as well, knowing that Tank Dell won't play from 25. And of course, the interior online, a bit priority, knowing that Stroud was sacked up like crazy in 24. Stroud was sacked up at times in his rookie year, but not as much as he was this past year. And yeah, Stroud has had moments that he had a hard time reading defenses in 24. And I admit he was iffy. So there's that. So as far as, off-season needs, starting with free agency, for depth moves, I do see them adding a safety and D tackle. Well, even a tight end, which is my honorable mention for Houston's off free agency needs. Since Cade Stover, got hurt in that playoff game versus the Chargers. And Dalton Schultz so far hasn't lived up to his extension. Still rooting that he does, though. But, knowing that Deebo Samuel, was traded to the Redskins, still refuse to call him the Commanders. He was traded to the Redskins. And I said this on an Instagram post, football related. Let Washington trade for him. And boom. That was the reality, knowing that there's still some options out there in free agency that Houston could both look at and even pick up. And even, if anything, I would like to trade for DK Metcalf, who has just requested a trade out of Seattle. Not a guarantee that Houston would get him, because of our cap space situation, though. And the O lineman I don't want is Alex Kappa, who was released by the Bengals. That dude's just getting lit up every second. Hopefully Houston don't pick him up, who was just on the Bengals that got released, but like I mentioned, there are some, underrated talent in wide receiver that Houston can pick up. And can't really rule out bringing back Stephon Diggs, for at least one more year. But if that doesn't work out, hell, I wouldn't mind going younger and faster because, hey, nothing wrong with veteran leadership in the receiving corps, but at the same time, I wouldn't mind being younger, stronger, and faster in the wide receiver corps. Having a strong offensive line is important for any offense because without a strong offensive line, especially through the interior portion, quarterbacks will get sacked up numerous times every game. No matter how talented the offense is, the O-line's going to have a hard time protecting the quarterback. So, they could pick up some interior O-line talent through free agency, both in the draft, which is, a little over a month away, by the way. Hey, also, got to find a way to get rid of Kenyon Green and, even, either Shaq Mason restructure his contract or just simply retire because it seems like Father's Time's catching up with Shaq Mason. Got to get a little younger in that interior online as well. I mean, 'cause like I said, Kenyon Green sure as hell ain't cutting it. It's looking more like a bust at this point. When we passed up on some talent in the 2022 draft, such as, Jordan Davis, in which I wanted along with Kyle Hamilton. Obviously Baltimore beat Houston to the punch. But, it is what it is. The past is the past. The past is prologue. So, like I said, shout out to Nico for restructuring his contract. And hey, give it about 2, 3, even 4 more restructures in the contract. I mean, not that I'm expecting Houston to make any splashes. And I get it, there has been talked about their extension incoming. If that were to happen, I would look at it for about 4 years, about 92, 96 mil. And I say Stingley is worth it, by the way. Dude's been balling his ass off since day one. Since day one of day one. But, even with Jalen Petrie coming back and, Jimmy Ward, I still see Houston, picking up a safety for depth purposes. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, if Houston, pick up some more linebackers for depth pieces. Though the defenses is, pretty much in good hands, but, I still wouldn't mind bringing back Fatu Kasi, or if that don't work out, bring back Mario Edwards, along with possibly bringing back Sheldon Rankins, in which I wanted back in the 2024 offseason. Obviously, he went to the Bengals. I mean, if not bringing back Fatu Kasi don't work out, at least bring back Mario Edwards and either Sheldon Rankins or even other interior D-line that Houston, hell, even Calais Campbell. I mean, yeah, he's up there in age, or that D-line from the Detroit Lions. I mean, for me, it's keeping that D-tackle room intact, truth be told. But, like I mentioned, wide receiver and interior online, biggest offseason needs for the Texans, especially on offense, knowing how regressive this offense was, failing to put up points in the second half in games, failing to score TDs when it mattered. Sure, it's touchdowns at that. But, hell, my honorable mention is, bringing back Hopkins for like a year or two. Or, but not getting my hopes up or anything. But, like I mentioned, DK Metcalf has requested a trade. Certainly Houston will look into that. But if they don't trade for DK Metcalf, because, I mean, it is what it is. But Houston does need another big body receiver outside of Nico, because, either big body or bring in some underrated wide receivers such as Nick Westbrook-Akine. I mean, hell, even he could be an underrated pickup. Since he's showing signs of getting better and better. He's endured. Played under Ryan Tannehill. Mason Rudolph, Will Levis. I mean, hell, I wouldn't mind Nick Westbrook-Akine along with that receiver from Washington, Thymie Brown, if I said his name correct. I mean, but like I say, free agency is like a little over a week away, and it's fast approaching. But like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if some more restructures from Houston, occurs. Such as Laramie Tunsil, Titus Howard. I mean, hey, like I said, I don't see any big splashes happening. Could be wrong though. I could be wrong, but you know, that's shows that free agency is totally predictable for sure. And if I'm not mistaken, Washington has the most cap space. And hey, I say Washington needs to upgrade their defense if they hope to kick ass in 25. No Washington fan, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. But like I say, Stroud, he does need more weapons, and Houston just got to stay healthy, man. If they hope to contend with the heavyweights, such as the teams got bigger teams to think about as fans, such as the Ravens, who has been a big thrown in our side. The Ravens, the Chiefs, who's also been a big thrown in the Texans side. The Bills, even though Houston beat them on the field goal. The Bengals, though they're not on the schedule for 25 and all. But it all starts with free agency and the NFL draft. Just got to one more time knock it out the park. And assuming no injuries occurred during training camp, the preseason, and all that stuff. Yeah, injuries are part of the game, but like I said, it all starts with handling business in free agency and the upcoming draft, which is next month. So, yeah, that's my Houston Texans free agency preview video. And hey, let's see what happens. And hey, and confident in Nick Caserio. Hell, it'll be nice for Nick Caserio to even do what Howie Roseman does, which is manipulate the cap. Because it's already enough that Howie Roseman, is one of the best GMs in pro football. So, I like Caserio, but let me throw this out there. He's not a better GM than Howie Roseman. I'm just letting that be known. But if Nick Caserio can figure out a way to manipulate the cap situation Nick Caserio's way, maybe not like Howie Roseman, but Nick Caserio's way. Hey, there could be a possibility that Houston could make at least one splash move, even though I'm not counting on it. But one splash move. He made some splashes last year. Acquiring Stephon Diggs, Danielle Hunter, and all that. Acquiring Joe Mixon. Had a good offseason last year, but hey, rooting for this team to have a much better offseason, even without a splash move. Because as a fan of the Texans, I've been rooting for this team since David Carr. Hell, I want to beat big teams such as the Ravens and the Chiefs. Since Houston's going to be playing against 7 teams that made the playoffs last year. Considering the fact that they went 1-5 versus teams that made the playoffs last year. And, wasn't so good against teams above 500. So, but like I say, it all starts in free agency. So, to my next video, Houston checking on up out of here. Always and forever. Let's go Houston Texans.